Chapter 3. The wedding was small, by more family standards at least. 50 guests in the private chapel at the Chicago Botanic Garden, all carefully selected members of Chicago's elite who needed to witness that Thomas More III had moved on from Vivian Ashford and found new happiness. The story had been carefully crafted by Tommy's publicist. A whirlwind romance, love at first sight, two souls finding each other in unexpected circumstances. Emma stood in the bridal suite, staring at herself in the full-length mirror, and barely recognized the woman looking back. The dress was beautiful, Shayla had insisted on that. Simple ivory silk, fitted bodice, flowing skirt that moved like water. Nothing like the elaborate gown Emma had picked out for her wedding to Marcus, which felt like a lifetime ago instead of just 5 months. "You look gorgeous," Shayla said from behind her, adjusting Emma's veil. "Even if this whole thing is completely insane." Emma's mother, Patricia Rose, sat in the corner of the suite, her hands folded in her lap, her expression unreadable. She'd flown in from her nursing conference in Atlanta the night before, and Emma still hadn't figured out how to explain any of this to her. "Baby," Patricia said quietly, "are you sure about this?" Emma met her mother's eyes in the mirror. Patricia was 53, with the same warm brown skin and natural curls Emma had inherited, though hers were threaded with silver now. She'd worked herself to exhaustion to give Emma every opportunity, and this was how Emma was repaying her, marrying a stranger for money, essentially. "I'm sure, Mama. Because if you're not, we can walk out that door right now. I don't care how many important people are sitting in that chapel. You don't owe anybody anything that costs you your happiness." Emma wanted to laugh. Her happiness had stopped being a factor months ago, the moment she'd looked down at her phone and destroyed Tommy Moore's life. "He's a good man," Emma said instead, which wasn't exactly a lie. She didn't know if Tommy was good or not, but he'd been honest about what this was. That counted for something. A knock at the door interrupted them. Helen, Tommy's house manager, stepped in. "Miss Rose, it's time. Everyone's ready." Emma took a deep breath. This was it. The performance of her lifetime. She picked up the small bouquet of white roses and followed Helen down the hallway, her mother and Shayla trailing behind. Through the closed chapel doors, she could hear the string quartet playing something classical and romantic. Richard Moore was waiting in the hallway to walk her down the aisle, Tommy's father, doing the honors since Emma's own father was gone. It had been Catherine's suggestion, a gesture that was both generous and another way to fold Emma into the Moore family narrative. "You look lovely," Richard said, offering his arm. His expression was neutral, professional, but not unkind. "Tommy is a lucky man." Emma didn't trust herself to respond, so she just nodded. The doors opened. The music swelled. Every head in the chapel turned to look at her. Emma's eyes went immediately to the front of the chapel, where Tommy waited in his wheelchair beside the minister. He wore a midnight blue suit that fit perfectly, his dark hair styled carefully. From a distance, he looked like any groom waiting for his bride, nervous, expectant, hopeful. But Emma knew better. This was just another business transaction for him. Another appearance to maintain. She walked down the aisle on Richard's arm, her legs moving automatically, her smile fixed in place. She saw Charlotte in the front row, watching her with those sharp, assessing eyes. Dorothy beside her, hands folded on her cane, expression unreadable. Catherine dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief, actual tears for this elaborate lie. And then Emma was at the front, Richard was placing her hand in Tommy's, and the minister was beginning the ceremony. Tommy's hand was warm, his grip firm.
If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and lets me keep bringing you more amazing love stories. Alright, back to the story.
He looked at her with an expression that was perfect for the audience. Tender, devoted, the look of a man in love. But his eyes told a different story. They were cool, distant, performing just like she was. The minister droned on about love and commitment and partnership. Emma barely heard the words. She was too focused on maintaining her composure, on not letting anyone see the panic building in her chest. "Do you, Thomas Richard Moore III, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." Tommy's voice was steady, certain. Convincing. "And do you, Emma Denise Rose, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Emma's mouth felt dry. She could feel 50 pairs of eyes on her, waiting. Her mother's hand was probably clutched over her heart. Shayla was probably holding her breath. This was it. Her last chance to run. I do, Emma whispered. Then by the power vested in me by the state of Illinois, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Tommy reached up, his hand cupping her cheek with surprising gentleness. He pulled her down slightly and pressed his lips to hers, brief, chaste, appropriate for a chapel full of witnesses. But Emma felt the contact everywhere, a jolt of electricity that caught her completely off guard. When he pulled back, something flickered across his face. Surprise maybe. Or confusion. Then it was gone, replaced by that perfect smile. The guests applauded. The quartet played. Emma and Tommy turned to face their audience as husband and wife, and Emma tried not to think about how thoroughly she'd just signed away the next 2 years of her life. The reception was held at the Peninsula Hotel, in a ballroom that probably cost more to rent for one evening than Emma had made in a year at her old job. Everything was elegant, expensive, tasteful. White flowers everywhere, champagne flowing freely, a live band playing jazz standards. Emma and Tommy sat at a sweetheart table, forced close together for photographs, maintaining the illusion. You're doing fine, Tommy murmured during a brief moment when no one was watching them closely. Just a few more hours. I know how to smile for a camera, Emma said quietly. I wasn't suggesting otherwise. I'm just saying, this is harder than I thought it would be. Emma looked at him sharply. What is this? Pretending. He took a sip of champagne. Lying to my grandmother's face. Watching my mother cry during the ceremony because she thinks I've found happiness. His jaw tightened. It's more exhausting than I anticipated. Emma hadn't expected that admission. You could have just sued me. This was your choice. I know. Tommy's eyes were fixed on the crowded ballroom. Doesn't make it less exhausting. Before Emma could respond, Catherine appeared at their table. Time for the first dance. Come on you two. Everyone's waiting. Tommy's expression shifted back to pleasant neutrality. Of course. The band transitioned into The Way You Look Tonight, a classic, safe choice. Tommy wheeled himself to the center of the dance floor, and Emma followed, hyper-aware of every eye in the room watching them. This had been choreographed during their one and only wedding rehearsal. Tommy would remain seated, Emma would stand close, they would hold hands and sway to the music in a way that looked intimate without requiring him to stand. His physical therapist had worked with them to make it look natural, romantic, not awkward. Emma stood beside his wheelchair, and Tommy took her hand, pulling her closer than they'd practiced. His other hand rested at her waist, and they began to move, small, subtle movements, Emma swaying while Tommy guided the rhythm. Everyone's watching, Emma whispered. Let them watch. This is what they paid admission for. No one paid admission. It's a wedding. Everything has a price, Emma. You should know that by now. The words stung, probably because they were true. Emma had paid for running that red light with her freedom. Tommy had paid for being in the wrong place at the wrong time with his legs. Everyone paid for something. Your mother was crying during the ceremony, Emma said quietly. Real tears. She really thinks you're happy. My mother sees what she wants to see. She wants me to be happy, to have moved on from Vivian, so that's what she's choosing to believe. And your grandmother? Does she believe it? Tommy glanced toward Dorothy, who was watching them from her table with those sharp, all-seeing eyes. Gram is harder to fool. But she wants me to be happy too. Everyone does. That's the problem with people loving you. They're invested in your happiness even when it's easier to just be honest about your misery. The song was winding down. Emma was suddenly very aware of how close they were standing, how Tommy's hand felt at her waist, how easy it would be to lean into this and forget it was all performance. What were you like? Emma asked suddenly. Before the accident. Tommy's expression shuddered. That person doesn't exist anymore. That's not true. You're still you. You don't know me well enough to make that assessment. The song ended. Tommy released her hand and pulled back. Time to cut the cake. Come on. The rest of the reception passed in a blur of obligations. Cake cutting, toasts, Charlotte's was pointed and protective, Richard's was formal and proper. Throwing the bouquet, which Shayla caught and immediately tried to give back, smiling for endless photographs. By the time they left the peninsula at midnight, Emma's face hurt from holding her smile. Tommy had arranged for them to spend their wedding night at the hotel, maintaining appearances, before moving Emma's belongings to his Lincoln Park brownstone the next day. They rode the elevator to the suite in silence. Tommy had booked a 2-bedroom suite, naturally. Separate spaces maintaining the illusion of intimacy while preserving their actual distance. Helen had arranged for Emma's overnight bag to be delivered earlier, and for Tommy's medical supplies and equipment to be set up in his room. Everything had been thought of, planned for, controlled. "Your room is the one on the right," Tommy said when they entered the suite. "I'll take the left. There's champagne in the fridge if you want it, though I imagine you've had enough alcohol for one evening." "Tommy?" "Good night, Emma. You did well today." The performance was convincing. He wheeled toward his room, then paused at the doorway. "For what it's worth, that dress really was beautiful. You looked, anyway. Good night." He disappeared into his room before she could respond. Emma stood alone in the luxurious suite, still in her wedding dress, married to a man who saw her as a debt payment, and felt more alone than she'd ever felt in her life. She went to her room, closed the door, and finally let herself cry. She woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the disorienting realization that she was married. Emma lay in the hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, the weight of it pressing down on her chest. Mrs. Thomas Moore. Emma Moore. A name that didn't feel like hers, attached to a life that didn't feel real. Her phone showed 8:47 a.m. 7 text messages, all from Shayla. "How are you doing? Are you okay?" Emma seriously texts me back, "I'm assuming you're asleep, but I'm worried. Okay, I'm giving you until 9, then I'm calling. Are you alive?" Emma. Emma typed back, "I'm alive. Just woke up. Today we moved my stuff to the house. Reality is setting in." The response was immediate. "I'm coming over. Don't argue." Emma didn't have the energy to argue. She got up, showered, and dressed in jeans and a sweater, normal clothes that felt strange after yesterday's elaborate costume. When she emerged from her room, she found Tommy already in the suite's living area, working on his laptop, a coffee mug beside him. He looked up when she entered. "Morning. There's coffee in the kitchen area. Helen will be here at 10 with the moving truck." "Moving truck? I don't have that much stuff." "She's also bringing your things from my house. The bedroom that will be yours is already furnished, but if there's anything you want to add, we can arrange it." Emma poured herself coffee, her hands still shaky. "Tommy, can I ask you something?" "What?" "Yesterday during the ceremony when we—" She hesitated. "When we kissed, you looked surprised." Tommy's expression became carefully neutral. "I was surprised it was over so quickly. Ceremonies always feel longer than they are." "That's not what I meant." "I know what you meant." He closed his laptop. "Emma, we need to establish boundaries. Clear ones. Yesterday was a performance. A necessary one. But don't read into it. Don't start creating narratives about moments or looks or feelings. This is a contract. That's all." "I know that. I'm not. Aren't you?" Tommy wheeled closer. "Because I saw how you looked at me during the first dance. Like you were trying to figure me out. Like you were hoping this might turn into something it's not. I was not. Listen to me carefully." His voice was firm but not unkind. "I've been through hell this year. Physical therapy that made me want to scream. Learning to accept limitations I never imagined having. Watching the woman I loved walk away because I wasn't whole anymore. I am not emotionally available for anything beyond what we agreed to. Do you understand?" Emma set down her coffee mug. "You think I want you to fall in love with me? I think you're young and romantic and you grew up on movies where the arranged marriage turns into true love. I think you're going to have a very disappointing 2 years if you believe that's going to happen here." The words hit like a slap. Emma felt her cheeks burn. "You're right about one thing, I am young. And maybe I did grow up believing in love and happy endings. But you know what I've learned in the past year? Life doesn't work like the movies. The man I loved for 5 years dumped me via text 3 days before our wedding. I destroyed a stranger's life because I was distracted for 2 seconds. I'm marrying someone who sees me as a debt payment because the alternative is financial ruin. So no, Tommy, I'm not harboring illusions about this turning into some great love story. I just thought maybe we could at least try to be kind to each other." Tommy was quiet for a long moment. "You're right. That was harsh." "Yes, it was. I'm not good at this. At being human anymore. The accident didn't just take my legs. It took—" He stopped, his jaw clenching. "It doesn't matter. I'm sorry. For being an ass. You don't deserve that." Emma sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted. "I don't know how to do this, Tommy. I don't know how to live with someone who resents me. Who looks at me and sees the worst moment of his life. I don't—" Tommy stopped. Started again. "It's complicated. Everything about this is complicated." "Yes." They sat in silence. Emma on the couch, Tommy in his wheelchair, the morning sun streaming through the windows of their wedding night suite that they'd spent separately. My father died when I was 12, Emma said quietly. Cancer. It was fast, 6 months from diagnosis to gone. And for years afterward I was so angry. Angry at him for leaving, angry at God for taking him, angry at the world for being unfair. My mother, she just kept going. Working double shifts, raising me alone, never complaining. And one day I asked her how she did it. How she kept going when everything was so hard. Tommy was watching her now, really watching. She said, "Baby, anger is like carrying a hot coal. You're the only one who gets burned." She said she could spend her life being angry about what was taken from her, or she could choose to find joy in what remained. It wasn't easy. Some days she failed. But she kept trying. Emma looked at Tommy directly. "I'm not saying you should just get over what happened to you. You have every right to be angry. But at some point, you're going to have to decide if you want to spend the next 2 years burning, or if you want to try to find something else. For your own sake, not mine." Tommy's expression was complicated. Anger, pain, something that might have been recognition. "You think you understand what I've been through?" "No, I don't. I can't. But I know what it's like to lose something that defined your whole world and have to figure out who you are without it. This is different. Maybe. But suffering isn't a competition, Tommy. We both lost things. We both made choices that led us here. We can either make this bearable or make it hell. That's the only decision we actually have control over." A knock at the door interrupted them. Helen's voice, "Mr. Moore? The moving crew is here." Tommy held Emma's gaze for another moment, something shifting in his eyes. Then he turned his wheelchair toward the door. "We should go. Long day ahead." But as he passed Emma, he paused. "Your father. What was his name?" "James. James Rose. He sounds like he was a good man. To raise a daughter with that kind of wisdom." Emma's throat tightened. He would have liked you, I think. Before the accident, anyway. Maybe even after." "Why after?" "Because he always said the measure of a person isn't how they act when life is easy. It's how they act when life is hard. And you're still here, Tommy. Still fighting, even if it's just to be angry. That counts for something." Tommy didn't respond. He just wheeled out of the suite, leaving Emma to follow. But something had shifted between them. Something small and fragile and probably temporary. But it was something. Moving Emma's belongings from her South Chicago studio to Tommy's Lincoln Park brownstone took 3 hours and felt like crossing into a different universe. Her entire life fit into a dozen boxes and a few pieces of furniture that looked shabby and out of place in the moving truck. Tommy had insisted she bring whatever she wanted. "Make the space yours," he'd said, but looking at her second-hand IKEA bookshelf next to the truck full of his expensive belongings made Emma acutely aware of the gap between their worlds. The bedroom Tommy had designated as hers was on the second floor, down the hall from his. It was easily twice the size of her entire studio apartment. King bed, walk-in closet, and soot bathroom with a soaking tub, windows overlooking the private garden. "This is too much," Emma said when Helen showed her the room. "It's yours for 2 years, Tommy said from the doorway. "You might as well be comfortable." The movers brought up her boxes, and Emma began the strange process of unpacking her life into a space that felt temporary and permanent all at once. Her books on the built-in shelves. Her grandmother's quilt on the bed. Her mother's nursing school photo on the dresser. Tommy appeared in the doorway again around 3 p.m. "I'm ordering dinner. Chinese okay? I figured you'd be too tired to think about cooking." "Chinese is fine. Thank you." He lingered in the doorway. "Emma, what you said this morning. About suffering not being a competition. About choosing what to do with anger." He paused. "I'm going to try. To make this bearable. I can't promise I'll be good at it. But I'll try." Emma turned to face him fully. "That's all I'm asking." "Okay. Well, dinner should be here in an hour. Helen made up the kitchen with some basics, but tomorrow we can go shopping if you want to stock it with things you actually like." "You don't have to." "Emma." Tommy's voice was firmer. "If we're going to live together for 2 years, you need to stop apologizing for existing in this space. This is your home now. Temporary, contractual, whatever, but it's yours. Okay." Emma nodded, not trusting her voice. After he left, she sat on the edge of her new bed and looked around the beautiful, expensive room that was hers but also wasn't. Through the window, she could see the garden Tommy had been looking at during their first meeting. Bare trees waiting for spring, flower beds dormant, everything sleeping. Her phone buzzed. "Shayla, how's the new house?" Emma took a photo of the bedroom and sent it back. "I don't belong here. Nobody belongs anywhere, Em. We all just make it up as we go. How's he treating you?" Emma thought about the morning conversation, about Tommy's admission that he'd try, about the unexpected moment of connection. Better than I expected. Still complicated. But maybe bearable. That's something. Yeah, something. Emma finished unpacking as the sun set, turning her borrowed room into something that felt slightly more like hers. When she went downstairs for dinner, she found Tommy had set the dining room table, actual plates, not just eating out of takeout containers. "Helen's night off," he explained. "Figured we should at least attempt to be civilized." They ate in companionable silence for a while, passing containers of lo mein and kung pao chicken. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't even particularly friendly. But it wasn't hostile either. It was, Emma thought, a beginning. Small and uncertain but real. "Thank you," Emma said as they were cleaning up. "For dinner?" "For trying. I know this isn't what you wanted. I know I'm not what you wanted. But thank you for trying to make it bearable." Tommy looked at her for a long moment. "You're right that you're not what I wanted. But maybe..." He paused, seeming to wrestle with the words. "Maybe that's not entirely your fault." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't even acceptance. But it was, Emma thought, a tiny crack in the wall between them. And sometimes that was enough to let a little light through. 3 months into the marriage, Emma woke up to find Tommy's side of the house completely silent. Not that she usually heard much from his bedroom. They maintained their separate spaces religiously, passing each other in hallways like polite strangers, sharing occasional meals that had become less awkward but never quite comfortable. But there was usually some sound in the mornings. Helen arriving, Tommy on conference calls, the hum of his daily routine. Today nothing. Emma got ready for work. She'd taken a position at a small marketing consultancy in the Loop, something to fill her days and maintain some independence. As she came downstairs, she found Helen in the kitchen, her expression troubled. "He's not well," Helen said without preamble. "Bad night. Pain flare-up. He won't let me call the doctor." Emma's stomach tightened. "Where is he?" "His room." "But Miss Emma, he doesn't want." Emma was already heading for the stairs. She knocked on Tommy's bedroom door, waited 3 seconds, then opened it anyway. The room was dim, curtains drawn against the morning light. Tommy was in bed, not his wheelchair, unusual for this hour. She could see the tension in his body even from the doorway, the way he held himself rigid against pain. "I said I didn't want to be disturbed." Tommy's voice was strained. "Helen's worried." "I'm worried." "Don't be. It's just a bad day. They happen." Emma stepped further into the room. "Have you taken anything for the pain?" "Everything I'm allowed to take. It'll pass." "Tommy?" "Emma, please." He turned his head to look at her, and she could see the exhaustion in his face, the lines of pain around his eyes. "I don't need you to fix this. You can't. So please just go to work. I'll be fine." Emma stood there, torn between respecting his wishes and the instinct to help. "I'll tell Helen to check on you every hour." "Fine. Whatever. Just close the door on your way out." She did, but the image of him stayed with her all day at work. By the time she got home that evening, Tommy was up, in his wheelchair, working in his study like nothing had happened. But Emma could see the residual tension, the careful way he moved, the tightness around his mouth. Over dinner, another of their increasingly regular shared meals, Emma finally spoke. "Does that happen often? The pain?" Tommy's fork paused halfway to his mouth. "Often enough." "And you just deal with it alone?" "What else would I do? Call you to hold my hand?" His tone was sharp, defensive. "Maybe. Or at least let someone know when you're struggling." "What? So you can feel even more guilty about putting me here?" The words came out harder than he probably intended, and Emma saw him wince. "Sorry? That was true." Emma set down her own fork. "It's true, Tommy. I did put you here. And I live with that every single day. But I'm also here now, in this house, in this marriage for 2 years. So maybe we could at least be honest about the hard parts instead of pretending everything's fine." Tommy was quiet for a long moment. "It's not your job to manage my pain. It's not about job descriptions. It's about being human. About not suffering alone when you don't have to. I've been suffering alone for months, Emma. I'm used to it." "That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." Tommy looked at her sharply, something flickering in his eyes. "Don't pity me." "I'm not. I'm just..." Emma struggled for the right words. "I'm just saying you don't have to be alone anymore. Even if this marriage is a contract, even if we're just two people paying debts, you don't have to be alone in the hard moments." Before Tommy could respond, Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and felt her stomach drop. Marcus's name on the screen. A text. "I heard you got married. We should talk." Emma's hands went cold. In 3 months of marriage, Marcus hadn't contacted her once. Why now? Everything okay? Tommy asked, his expression shifting to concern. Yeah. Just nothing important. Emma silenced her phone and shoved it in her pocket. I should go finish some work emails. She left before Tommy could ask more questions, but the text sat like a weight in her pocket all evening. She finally responded around midnight, "There's nothing to talk about. Please don't contact me again." His reply came immediately, "It's about Jenna. She's pregnant. Thought you should know." Emma stared at the message, a cold numbness spreading through her chest. Jenna. Marcus's co-worker, the one Emma had always suspected but Marcus had sworn was just a friend. They'd been together less than 3 months after he dumped Emma via text, and now a baby. The life Emma had imagined, marriage, family, future, handed to someone else like it was nothing. She didn't cry. She was beyond crying. She just sat on her bedroom floor, back against the bed, phone in hand, and felt the full weight of how thoroughly her old life had been erased. A soft knock at her door. "Emma? I saw your light still on." She didn't answer, but Tommy opened the door anyway, wheeling in slowly. "I'm fine," Emma said automatically. "You're sitting on the floor at midnight. You're clearly not fine." Tommy positioned his wheelchair near her. "What happened?" "Nothing. Just, my ex," he texted. "The one who dumped you before your wedding?" Emma had told Tommy about Marcus early on, during one of their awkward getting-to-know-you conversations. "He's having a baby? With the woman he left me for, probably." Tommy was quiet for a moment. "That's brutal." "Yeah. You loved him. For 5 years. I thought I did. Now I don't know. How do you love someone for 5 years and then they just leave?" Via text. 3 days before the wedding? Emma's voice cracked. "What was wrong with me that he could do that so easily?" "Nothing was wrong with you. He's just an ass. Or I was never enough." "Emma? Do you ever wonder if Vivian was right to leave?" The question burst out before Emma could stop it. "If maybe you're better off without someone who couldn't handle the hard parts?" Tommy's expression shuddered. "Every single day. But you still love her." "I don't know. I loved who she was. Who I thought she was. Turns out that person only existed when life was perfect." He wheeled closer. "Listen to me. Your ex leaving had nothing to do with you not being enough. It had everything to do with him being too weak to show up when things got hard. Some people are only capable of surface-level commitment. You're better off without him. You don't know that." "I do actually, because I've watched you for 3 months now. You show up, Emma. Every day. Even when it's hard. Even when I'm an ass to you. Even when every instinct probably tells you to run. That's not someone who isn't enough. That's someone who's stronger than the people who left." Emma looked up at him, tears finally spilling over. "I didn't want this life, Tommy. I didn't want a contract marriage with someone who resents me. I didn't want to be paying off a debt for 2 years. I wanted love. A real marriage. A family." "I know." Tommy's voice was soft. "I didn't want this either. I wanted to walk down the aisle to Vivian. I wanted to dance at my own wedding. I wanted a future that doesn't include chronic pain and limitations." And he stopped, jaw clenching. They sat in silence, two people mourning different versions of futures that would never exist. "This is depressing," Emma finally said, wiping her eyes. "Extremely. We're a mess. Completely." Emma laughed despite herself, a wet, broken sound. "How did we end up here? Bad luck. Bad timing. Bad decisions." Tommy reached out, his hand hovering near hers on the carpet. "But maybe not entirely bad company." Emma looked at his hand, then up at his face. There was something different in his expression. Vulnerability, maybe? Or resignation. Or something that looked almost like understanding. She took his hand. They sat like that for a long time, on the floor of Emma's bedroom at midnight, holding hands like lifelines, two broken people in a fake marriage finding unexpected comfort in shared pain. The next morning, Emma woke to find a note slid under her door. "Bad pain day again. Don't worry. Just letting you know like you asked." It was a small gesture, but it felt enormous. Emma made breakfast, nothing fancy, just eggs and toast, and brought it up on a tray to Tommy's room. He was in bed again, eyes closed, but opened them when she knocked. "You don't have to." "I know. But I did anyway." Emma set the tray on his nightstand. "Eat if you want. Or don't. I'm going to work, but Helen's here if you need anything." "Emma?" Tommy's voice stopped her at the door. "Thank you. For last night. For understanding. We're all just trying to survive, Tommy. Might as well do it together." At work, Emma found herself distracted, thinking about Tommy alone in that big house, dealing with pain that she'd caused. Around 2 p.m. she texted him, "How are you doing?" His response came quickly, "Better. Ellen made me eat your breakfast. Was good. That's probably the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Don't get used to it." But there was something lighter in the exchange, something that felt almost like friendship. That evening, Emma came home to find Tommy in the living room instead of his study. He had a chessboard set up on the coffee table. "Do you play?" he asked. "My dad taught me. I'm not great." "Good. I need an opponent who won't destroy me. My ego's taken enough hits this year." They played 3 games. Tommy won all 3, but Emma came close in the last one. They didn't talk much, just moved pieces and shared the space, and it felt comfortable in a way their interactions rarely had before. "Same time tomorrow?" Tommy asked when Emma declared herself ready for bed. "Sure. If you promise to go easy on me." "Absolutely not. But I'll teach you some better strategies." Emma smiled. "Deal." Over the next few weeks, something shifted between them. Small things barely noticeable at first. Tommy started joining Emma for breakfast instead of eating alone in his study. Emma started working from home 1 day a week, her laptop set up in the living room while Tommy worked nearby. They developed a routine, chess in the evenings, alternating who chose what they watched on TV, sharing stories about their days over dinner. Emma learned that Tommy had wanted to be an architect before his father pushed him toward finance. That he played piano before the accident but hadn't touched it since. That he was terrified of becoming a burden, of being reduced to his disability in people's eyes. Tommy learned that Emma had wanted to start her own consulting firm but was too afraid of failure. That she sang in the shower but insisted she had a terrible voice, she didn't. That she visited her mother every Sunday and came back refreshed but also somehow sad. They were becoming friends, Emma realized. Real friends, not just contractual housemates. It should have felt like progress. Instead, it terrified her. Because somewhere in the chess games and shared meals and late-night conversations, Emma had started feeling things she definitely shouldn't feel. Things that went beyond friendship or gratitude or guilt. She was starting to care about Tommy. Not as the man she'd hurt, not as the person she owed a debt to, but as himself. The way he laughed at stupid TV shows when he thought she wasn't looking. The way he pushed himself through pain without complaining because he didn't want to worry anyone. The way his eyes softened when he talked about his grandmother or the architecture he still loved. She was falling for her contractual husband, and it was the worst possible thing she could do. The crisis came on a humid July evening, 4 months into their marriage. Tommy's sister Charlotte was hosting a charity gala. One of the events Emma was contractually obligated to attend. Emma had bought a new dress, a deep burgundy that Shayla had sworn looked incredible. Tommy wore a tailored black suit that somehow made him look even more handsome than usual. They arrived at the Peninsula Ballroom, the same venue as their wedding reception, and Emma felt Tommy tense beside her. "You okay?" she murmured. "Fine. Just, a lot of memories here." Emma understood. This was where he'd married her 4 months ago, where he'd performed happiness while mourning everything he'd lost. They made it through cocktail hour, through dinner, through the obligatory small talk with Chicago society's elite. Emma was getting better at this world, knowing which fork to use, which topics were safe, how to smile and deflect and perform. Then the dancing started, and Emma saw Tommy's expression close off entirely. "We don't have to," she started. "We do. People are watching. Charlotte specifically requested we have our moment on the floor." Tommy's voice was tight. "It's fine. Let's just get it over with." They moved to the dance floor, and Emma stood beside his wheelchair, taking his hand like they'd done at their wedding. The song was different, something slower, more romantic, but the mechanics were the same. Except everything felt different now. Because Emma wasn't pretending anymore. Her feelings were real, her care was genuine, and standing this close to Tommy while knowing he saw this as just another performance was breaking her heart in slow motion. "You're tense," Tommy murmured. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Just tired." "Emma?" His hand tightened at her waist. "I know when you're lying. What is it?" Before Emma could answer, a voice cut through the music. "Tommy? Is that really you?" They both turned. A blonde woman in a stunning silver gown stood at the edge of the dance floor, her hand pressed to her mouth in shock. Vivian Ashford. Tommy's ex-fiancée. Emma felt Tommy go rigid beside her. "Vivian. I didn't know you'd be here." Charlotte didn't mention. Vivian's eyes traveled from Tommy to Emma, recognition dawning. "You must be Emma. The wife. I've heard so much about you." The way she said wife, made it clear she'd heard exactly what kind of wife Emma was. "Nice to meet you," Emma said, her voice steady despite the panic rising in her chest. "Is it?" Vivian's smile was sharp. "I imagine this must be awkward for all of us. Tommy, could I borrow you for a moment? To talk privately?" "I don't think," Emma started. "It's fine," Tommy cut her off. "Emma, I'll be right back." He wheeled away with Vivian toward the terrace doors, leaving Emma standing alone on the dance floor while other couples swayed around her. She made it to the bar, ordered a drink she didn't want, and tried not to watch the terrace where Tommy and Vivian were clearly having an intense conversation. Vivian's hand on Tommy's shoulder. Tommy's face turned up toward her, his expression unreadable from this distance. "They dated for 3 years, Charlotte's voice said beside her. "In case you were wondering." Emma turned to find Tommy's sister watching her with assessing eyes. "I know. She left him when he needed her most. But I guess first loves are hard to forget." Charlotte's tone was carefully neutral. "Especially when they show up looking like that, full of regret." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you need to know what you're up against." Charlotte's expression softened slightly. "I've watched you two these past months. At family dinners, at events. Something's different. The way you look at him isn't acting anymore. Is it?" Emma's throat closed up. She couldn't answer. "I thought so." Charlotte sighed. "Emma, I don't know what arrangement you and my brother have. But I do know that Tommy has been happier these past few weeks than he's been since before the accident. Lighter. Almost like himself again. And I think that has something to do with you." "He still loves her," Emma whispered. "Vivian. He never stopped. Maybe. Or maybe he loves the memory of who he was when he was with her. Someone whole. Someone undamaged." Charlotte touched Emma's arm. "But you know what? That person doesn't exist anymore. The question is whether Tommy can accept who he is now, and whether Vivian can too." Emma looked back at the terrace. Tommy and Vivian were still talking, but now Vivian was crouched beside his wheelchair, her hand covering his on the armrest. The intimacy of the gesture made Emma's chest ache. "I need some air," Emma said abruptly. She didn't wait for Charlotte's response. She just walked, out of the ballroom, through the lobby, out into the humid Chicago night. Her phone was buzzing in her clutch, probably Tommy wondering where she'd gone, but she couldn't deal with it yet. She'd known this was coming. Had known from the beginning that this marriage had an expiration date, that Tommy's heart belonged to someone else, that she was just a convenient replacement for 2 years. But knowing it intellectually was different from watching it unfold in front of her. Watching the woman Tommy actually loved come back, full of regret, ready to try again now that time had passed and wounds had healed. Emma walked for 3 blocks before she finally stopped, leaning against a building, her heart hammering. Her phone rang. "Tommy." She answered. "I'm sorry, I just needed." "Where are you?" His voice was sharp with worry. "Emma, you can't just disappear like that. I've been looking everywhere." "I'm fine. I needed air." "Where exactly are you?" Emma looked around. "Michigan Avenue. Near the water tower." "Stay there. I'm coming to get you." "Tommy, you don't have to." "Stay. There." The line went dead. 15 minutes later, a car pulled up, not their usual driver but Tommy in the driver's seat of his modified vehicle, his wheelchair folded in the back seat. He rolled down the window. "Get in." Emma slid into the passenger seat, and Tommy pulled away from the curb without a word. They drove in silence for several minutes before he finally spoke. "Why did you run?" "I didn't run. I just needed space." "Because of Vivian." Emma didn't answer. "Emma, look at me." Tommy pulled into a parking lot overlooking the lake and put the car in park. "What happened on that terrace?" "You don't owe me an explanation. This is a contract marriage. You can talk to whoever you want." "Will you let me finish?" Tommy's voice was frustrated. Vivian wanted to apologize. For leaving, for not being strong enough to stay. She said she's been in therapy working on herself, and she wanted to see if there was a chance we could try again. Emma's heart sank. And I told her no." Emma's head snapped up. "What?" "I told her no." Tommy turned to face her fully. "Because I finally figured something out tonight watching you walk away. Watching you leave because you thought I'd choose her." "Tommy? Do you know what the difference is between you and Vivian?" Tommy's voice was intense. "Vivian loved me when I was whole. When I was easy. When loving me didn't require anything difficult. But you..." He paused, his jaw working. "You've been here through the hard parts. The pain days, the anger, the bitterness. You've seen me at my worst and you didn't run. Even when I gave you every reason to. That's because I owe you. Stop. Stop hiding behind the guilt and the debt and the contract. Tommy reached out, his hand cupping her face with surprising gentleness. These past few months you've become my friend. My actual friend. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You call me on my bullshit. You bring me breakfast on bad pain days and you stay up too late playing chess and you sing off-key in the shower when you think I can't hear you. Emma felt tears burning behind her eyes. Tommy, don't do this. Do what? Tell you the truth? That somewhere in this fake marriage I stopped pretending. His thumb brushed her cheek. I don't love Vivian anymore, Emma. Maybe I haven't for a while. I loved who I was with her, but that person is gone. And maybe that's okay. Because the person I am now, damaged and complicated and still figuring it out, that person could maybe, possibly, if you'll let him, fall for you. Could. Emma's voice was barely a whisper. Or already has? Tommy's expression was vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. Already has. Completely. Terrifyingly. Against every plan and contract and reasonable expectation. Emma closed her eyes, tears spilling over. This wasn't supposed to happen. I know. We have a contract. An end date. 2 years and then we walk away. I know that too. So what are you saying? Tommy leaned forward, his forehead resting against hers. I'm saying I don't want to walk away. I'm saying I want to rip up the contract and start over. I'm saying that I know I don't deserve it. I know this started as punishment and payment, but Emma, I'm falling in love with you. Actually, properly, no going back, falling in love with you. And I need to know if there's any chance at all, that you might feel the same way. Emma pulled back enough to look at him. At this man who'd been a stranger 4 months ago, who'd become a reluctant husband, then a friend, then somehow, impossibly, the person who made her want to believe in love again. I'm terrified, she whispered. Me too. What if we're just trauma bonding? What if this only works because we're both broken? Then we figure it out together. No contracts. No end dates. Just us trying to build something real out of this disaster. Tommy's hand moved to the back of her neck. Tell me you feel it too. Tell me I'm not alone in this. Emma looked into his eyes, eyes that had been cold and angry 4 months ago but were now warm and hopeful and looking at her like she was everything. You're not alone, she said. I feel it too. God help me, I feel it too. Tommy kissed her then, and it was nothing like their wedding kiss. This was real, desperate and tender and full of promise. Emma kissed him back, her hands in his hair, for months of walls crumbling between them. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Tommy rested his forehead against hers again.